Good evening. Welcome to the September 3rd edition of Sports on Sunset. I'm James Jericho.
I am not a pro.
And we do not have crap on us, so we're pretty happy about that. Yeah. Happy Labor Day. Speaking of laboring, those white shorts are laboring like hell right now.
I'd smash.
That is... Yeah. Okay. Hey, let's talk sports. Last week, ESPN had a week-long series of vignettes and specials. Football at a crossroads. Football in your crotch. Who cares what the name is? Yeah. And we know why this was done. This is done in response to the concussions that have been somewhat maybe rampant in the course of the league for the last however long. Junior Seau's suicide has been the rumor, which has never been substantiated, is that he shot himself in the chest like Dave Duerson of the Chicago Bears. Duerson did it because he couldn't take the pain from concussions. Everybody assumed Seau did it because of concussions. No proof. But it doesn't matter. Once everybody assumes it's all concussions, the ball gets rolling and people say, how can we stop it? And the solution becomes ban football. By the way, good luck with that. It ain't never gonna happen. But we would like to talk about it because I have a couple of theories as to why this is going on, and in addition to those theories, a couple of solutions. Now, Jeremy, as he's fond of telling you as a former athlete, one of the things he did was play wide receiver for high school. I only played spring ball. I'll tell you about that later. It's not a big deal at all. First question, were you ever concussed?
Probably.
Okay.
But never diagnosed.
Never diagnosed. Now, define how bad, better phrase. What leads you to believe that you had a concussion?
Because when you, as they used to call it, getting your bell rung.
Yeah.
When you get up and you stumble all over the place and you're doing this, that's probably a concussion.
Really?
Probably. At the very least, a grade 2 or grade 3.
Yeah, you see, because the thing is that I've seen you walk down Sunset like that.
No, that's bad. That's bad knees.
Oh, okay.
But see, if you're stumbling all over the place, you can't find equilibrium. That's a problem. That's a brain injury.
Okay.
And that's all a concussion is. It's a brain injury.
Well, then let me run this quick take past you. We had mentioned Junior Seau earlier. A former teammate of Junior Seau's of the San Diego Chargers, Gary Plummer. He read the definitions of concussions. What is a grade this, grade that, grade the other.
Right.
He estimated that Junior Seau probably had 1,500 concussions during the course of his career. By the way, that's
1,500?
Yeah. Now, by the way, that's an average of 5 per game, and I don't want to look. They played the game.
Yeah.
I don't want to just immediately say they're full of crap, but my shenanigans alarm is a screaming at that. That's 5 a game.
Probably 1 a game. As a linebacker, that's accurate. Maybe 1 a game, but at the most maybe 2. But I don't see 5 a game.
How many do you think you had? That you think
playing football for me?
Yeah, or boxing.
Well, boxing, none.
Really?
None.
Because of the headgear?
Because of the headgear, and I didn't get hit much.
Well, how about bragging over? With that said, you are wearing headgear.
Yeah.
That's also been advancing over the years to prevent harder concussions.
Yeah, and headgear pretty much deflects all the punches anyway.
So what are we talking about here? How much of this, in the old bullshit-o-meter of life, with the way that the attention is going in terms of concussions and how to battle football, where do you put it? Are we on red alert status? Or
we're definitely on red alert status.
Why? Politically speaking, or real?
Really.
Okay.
In reality, we are in red alert status. People are much bigger and faster than they used to be. It's not the days of Jim Brown where he was the biggest thing going and could run over everybody and nobody could stop him. Now there are people that would stop Jim Brown.
Okay.
And these are huge behemoths of human beings, and they hit hard. they hit very hard. And look at that ass.
That's a dude.
That's a dude? Why is a dude wearing tights? All right, that's beside the point. Look, what I'm saying here is this. You made me lose my... Why'd you point that shit out?
Because I knew you'd say, wow, look at that ass, and I knew it was a dude.
You suck.
Okay.
I had a good point going, and you fucking distracted me.
Let me give you some information about Junior Seau while he tries to recover from his own concussion.
Junkie head.
Nobody has any evidence so far that Junior Seau killed himself due to after effects of concussions. There was no suicide note. Duerson of the 1985 Chicago Bears did leave a suicide note. He was diagnosed with multiple concussions. That's one. Seau did not miss any games due to concussion. To the best of my research, he missed
probably some other injury.
Right, like knees or shoulders or whatever.
Helped him recover from concussions.
Possibly. We do know that he was divorced. We do know that he probably had financial troubles because one of his restaurants did close immediately after his death, and his house is up for sale. Also, an autopsy report on August 12th, a preliminary report, no alcohol, no drugs, no apparent brain damage. Now, we here at Sports on Sunset, we don't look to politicians for solutions because like some people, like the city council person in New York who's now thinking about banning high school football. And also, let's be honest, some politicians happen to be former professional athletes, including Heath Schuler. With that said, I'm going to propose two possible solutions or things that could help out. Okay. And you tell me if I'm full of crap. First, taking steroids significantly more seriously, particularly in the National Football League. We have a culture now that if a Major League Baseball player gets found with steroids in his system, he gets raked over the coals something big time. His reputation, shot. Loses 50 games automatically. Football, I don't think I don't think anybody gets ostracized. You can face a 4-game suspension, but a 4-game suspension is a fourth of the year. 50 games is a third.
Well, here's a better solution. You have to start at the high school level. You have to start at the high school level and teach kids not to use steroids, because that's when it starts. It doesn't start anywhere but high school. There are people that they call it cycling. You go on steroids, then you go off and you get bigger. You go on HGH, you go off, then you get bigger. And this happens in college, and that's where the culture of steroids goes to. Because how does a kid that is 5'9", 170 turn into a 6'3", 240 linebacker?
Yeah.
When his parents are nowhere near that size. Like, nobody in his family is that big, and suddenly he's a gigantic person, and he's running a 4.4 40 and 240. It's not supposed to happen.
Well, how much do you put on the onus on the leagues, whether it be the NFL or major college football, and how much of the onus do you put on the players?
I put it on the players and the coaches. See, in college, well, let's start back in high school where you have to. In high school, people don't really know where to get steroids at. You have to find out someplace, usually by a coach. A coach like, I'm not saying this is where you're supposed to go to get this stuff, but this is where you go to get this stuff.
I hear there's a rumor that's silky.
Yeah. Like, no, people aren't going to GNC to get protein shakes to get that big that damn quick. It's not going to help that well.
At what point did players become too big? William the Refrigerator Perry would only be, in terms of size, would be an average defensive lineman.
6'2", 300, right?
Yeah. At what point did they become too big? He was a freak of nature back then.
Yeah, but he was also often injured. That's another thing. The people that are these huge behemoths that don't get injured, that's a weird one. I think when people became too big was around the time of Reggie White.
Okay.
He was a big dude.
Are you also insinuating that Reggie White was doing
definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Like, how many years did he play? Like 16?
He played in the USFL for a few as well.
Right.
So he started like around 84.
Right.
And that would be about 2 years in the USFL, then goes to the Eagles, etc.
Eagles, Packers, played about 15, 16 years, right?
Yeah.
And he played at a very high level for 15, 16 years, and he died an early death because his body gave out. I'm not saying, well, no, I am going to say it. He was more than likely dirty. More than likely dirty. He had rage issues, the typical steroid symptoms were exhibited by people.
I think the NFL actually has to take a more proactive stance with regards to steroids. The players are not going to police themselves.
Yeah, they have to test.
I mean, I understand the whole point about blaming the players as opposed to the teams.
It has to be personal responsibility.
But the problem is that everybody wants the paycheck. The reason that I'm saying that the NFL can do it and can get away with it, look, the NFL Players Union is not nearly as strong as Major League Baseball Players Union. And yet Major League Baseball players' suspensions and the notoriety or having a reputation ruined is significantly more severe than any guy who gets caught with steroids in the NFL. And by the way, let me ask you this. Why do we hold baseball players more accountable? Cyclists get held more accountable. They're smaller, than football players. Pro wrestlers get held more accountable.
Because everybody in football is bigger. So,
even though in the pro wrestling thing.
Well, here's the thing. Pro wrestling is a joke. As far as their steroid policy, it's a huge joke.
Okay.
And everybody knows it. It's a way for certain owners to fire certain wrestlers. That's all it is. For you, nobody fired Hulk Hogan for all the steroids he was doing in the 80s. They didn't care. He was making hand over fist for the company. That's all they cared about.
Okay, I have a second, more radical solution.
Okay.
Widen the field.
10 yards?
5 to 10. Or take off a player. Make it 10 on 10.
No, that wouldn't work.
Okay, well, but one or the two. The reason for it, I think you know where I'm going, but I want to spell it out.
Yeah.
One less linebacker, one less safety perhaps. The reason for that is that if I have to cover more yards to tackle you, the less the odds are that I go boom and just really nail you.
That wouldn't work because they wouldn't go one less linebacker.
Well, how about? But again, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to compensate for the girth and the speed.
It would actually make things worse because what happens is if you take one player off, the one player that everybody's going to take off would be the defensive tackle, and then they probably take off 2 defensive tackles, add 2 linebackers. Everybody would be running either a 2-4, a 2-4-4.
Would the same thing happen if the field were widened 5 to 10 yards?
Yes, because you'd have to get faster, and the way you get faster is by adding another linebacker. That's what happens.
Have you? I was thinking about solutions over the last week. Did you come up with any?
Yeah. Here's a solution. People have said this before, and it's something I support. Make the pads lighter.
Okay.
Go back to leather helmets.
Why leather helmets?
Leather helmets because people back then wouldn't tackle using their heads. They would tackle using their shoulders.
You're talking about
their body.
Yeah, but you're talking about form, which I don't necessarily. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. One of the things that they showed on ESPN was some kid got paralyzed.
Yeah.
They showed the play. He led with his head down.
Yeah,
that was
sprung in, and that's just bad form.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of people have learned to tackle that way. They learn by lunging in. They don't learn with the shoulder. This is why this is happening for me because I learned to tackle with my shoulder. But you dislocate a shoulder if you tackle wrong, if you don't have your body straight. So if you first take away the prize piece, so people that have like a small head, like people that have next to no head here, don't use how many people that play left hand leave with their head when they tackle? None. You don't do it because you're going to get a knee to the face. Imagine Roger Craig have people diving at Roger Craig's legs back in the day with his high knee running style. People didn't do it because they were going to get onto the chin. People don't run like that now. They don't run high knee. But they're barreling into each other.
McFadden runs pretty high, but that's another story.
Yeah,
I get it. Everybody doesn't do that.
But people are barreling into each other because they're well protected. They believe they're well protected. The helmet is supposed to protect you. And they don't realize the more protection you have, the riskier you are. And they are becoming extremely risky the way they play. People are playing with Ronnie Lott abandoned when they're not Ronnie Lott. Ronnie Lott tackled people correctly. He wasn't just, ramming his head into people. He would shoulder block. He would tackle you on the legs where he's not getting hit in the head. He tackled correct and he tackled hard.
Why don't you tell him what's on your mind, brother?
What's on my mind? I mentioned Jim Brown earlier.
Yeah.
I want to make a plea to the sports community. Jim Brown was a prolific running back in the NFL. He used to hold the record for all-time leading rusher. Jim Brown famously quit football, became an actor. And that's what the problem is. Athletes quitting their respective sports to become actors and failing miserably at it, but still getting work because they're semi-famous. You had Bubba Smith, who quit football.
Alex Karras.
You had
Bob Uecker.
Fred Dreyer had a TV show. These people weren't even elite athletes. They sucked at the sport. You should have to at least be a star in the goddamn sport. I don't like Space Jam, but at least Michael Jordan was a goddamn star. Look, unless you're a star, stick with your goddamn sport until you're a star. Shaq was a star. He was allowed to make his shitty movies. These people are in shitty movies, and they're not even stars. So, Alex Karras, Webster's dad, George Papadopoulos, quit, please. Everybody, unless you're a star in your sport, quit. Don't even try to be an actor. I'm not saying this because I'm living in Hollywood. I'm saying this because these movies suck. They're horrible. How many? Peace to Bubba Smith, by the way. He died not that long ago, but the Police Academy movie sucked. Everybody knows that after the first two, Police Academy in Moscow? Really? Did you have to do that one? Did that have to happen? Huh?
Once Gutenberg left, there was no hope.
Well, once Kim Cattrall left, there was no hope. Yeah. So, my point is this. I just want to make my plea to all of the sports world. If I have to watch a movie starring who's a shitty athlete, if I have to watch a movie starring Crosby from the fucking hockey player, if he comes out with a movie,
Sidney Crosby from the Penguins,
he hasn't even broken a record yet, I'll quit humanity. I'll quit watching sports altogether. If he has a movie, Darius Miles was in a goddamn movie. He was in a movie. Darius Miles.
Yeah.
He played a bank robber in a high school bank robber. Stop it. Stop it. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Jim Brown can do it. You can't.
Guys, as a Laker fan on November 16th, out in front of Staples Center, the captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, will finally get his wish. He'll get a statue out in front of Staples Center, where he'll be alongside the legends Magic Johnson, Jerry West, Chick Hearn, Wayne Gretzky, and Oscar De La Hoya.
What?
Kareem is a 16-time MVP, a 6-time NBA champion, a 19-time NBA All-Star, the NBA's all-time scoring leader, and oh, by the way, his actions almost helped lead to the death of Rudy Tomjanovich. After 16 years of bitching to Jerry Buss, you finally got your way, Captain. 6 titles? Actions almost killed a guy. 6 scoring titles? Racist. Here's the thing. Dude, seriously, you had to beg for that statue because you've been a jerk almost your entire life, okay? The only time in your life you ever even looked relatable was when you were on the movie Airplane, and even then you still almost assaulted a kid. What?
He was acting. That was some good acting.
Yeah. Here's what he said on ESPN last week, quote, "When you look at what owner Jerry Buss did for Earvin Magic Johnson and what he did for me, big disparity there. You know what, Cap? You're right. After all, when your house burned down, Jerry Buss didn't lift a finger to rebuild it, and yet he cured Magic's AIDS. I mean, what the hell? Come on, Cap. I mean, look. You notice how he bitched to the Lakers? He didn't bitch to UCLA because John Wooden would have crawled out of the grave and slapped him for it. I've read the Pyramid of Success, okay? Whining like a little punk, like you're on Toddlers and Tiaras until you get what your way, isn't on the Pyramid of Success. I mean, how many freebies does this guy want? He's been bankrupt, he handles money worse than I do, and I'm piping for Pete's sake. But the quote, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I was going to be black rage personified, end quote. Maybe that might have had something to do with it. Thanks to you, now we're going to have the only statue in sports history guarded by the Nation of Islam. I mean, dude, you know what would have been the difference? All he would have had to say at some point in his life would have been, you know what? I've been around here for 65 years, and gosh darn it, we still got problems, but America just isn't as bad as it was in 1947. Something about the Civil Rights Act, something about the end of Jim Crow, something about white kids with turned around baseball caps wearing my jersey, something. Throw a bone to Whitey. That would have been the one thing. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Cap, I can't wait for you to take your dirt nap, and then we can move that statue over to the Forum, where first of all, you played there, and secondly, we don't have a army of, chess pieces of athletes we may or may not have liked circling the place.
Let me get this straight. So, you're not particularly happy about him having a statue.
Right.
But you're okay with the AIDS-infected philanderer who cheated on his wife and got AIDS.
Yeah.
You're okay with that?
Yes.
You're okay with the cocaine cross-dresser boxer?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did Magic have his own thug almost punch the nose of an opponent right back into his skull? Did Magic?
He did have Michael Cooper spraying Isaiah Thomas's ankle in the finals.
Yeah, but again, that helped make Isaiah's career.
No, he didn't win the championship that year because of that.
Well, as far as everybody remembers him faking that limp up and down the court.
Fake? What the? All right, this is over. This is over. This is over.
I know. We'll see you next week. I'm James.